Welcome to the third video in the Rivet series. If you missed the first two videos, take a moment and go back and watch them and then come back here so that you can understand where we're at and what's so important about what we are doing in this video. So today I'm going to be showing you 4 different sizes of hole punches and exactly how they interact with different types of materials commonly used in bag making. You'll be able to see the results side by side and learn a little bit more about how to read your fabric and how important that is in deciding what materials and what hardware to use on your handbags. Hi, I'm Bonnie with Aloha Bonnie Handbags, and I'm taking you on a journey to learning the basics of handbag making. I'm sharing with you my experience, my mistakes, and hoping that you will not make the same mistakes that I did. Every vinyl, every material that you use is going to react differently when you punch a hole through it. So I'm going to be using these 4 to show you 4 different size holes for the punches. And these are punches that I bought in a set. If you want to learn more about these items, I have another video called Rivet Installation Tools, and I cover this in more detail. So this is part of the set that I purchased, and if you look at the top, you can see that they are all different sizes. It's easy to discern which sizes are smaller or larger than the other. They do also have the sizes on the post part here. So this one says 1. This is the smallest size, and you can see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch 1 hole in each size in each of these vinyls, and then also this cork, and I will show you how different or similar those holes look. All right, I've made the first hole using this smallest hole punch. You see how tiny that hole punch up there is. This is a size 1. And if you can see, the different materials have different size holes, even though we used the same tool. This is why it's really important to test a scrap piece of fabric before using it on your final project. So this is a size 1. Let's see the difference. So I'm going to show you this one here. So you can see there is an indentation where it went in. Here is the hole. It's nice and clean. This is a firm, it's firm, and it's not going to stretch. It doesn't have any stretch to this. This is a piece of flooring vinyl. So when you punch the hole in this, it should be a nice clean cut. Now, here is the other one, and as I stated, the density of these two, or the resistance to piercing, is very similar. But this one is not going to have that indentation around the hole because it's not as thick. This material is very thin, and you get a nice clean hole there. This vinyl does not stretch in any direction, and you get a nice clean hole there. Here is the cork, and you get a slight indentation because of the thickness of this. You get a nice clean hole, but you can see the hole on these, and you notice that this hole seems a little bigger. Now let's look at this vinyl. This vinyl is actually quite rubbery and has some stretch to it. And so what happens when you have a vinyl that has stretch to it and has a rubbery kind of feel, it will want to move, which is exactly what it did. There is a hole there. There is a nice clean hole there. You can hardly see it from the back because it has a woven backing. And the hole has actually shrunk back down. You can barely see it. It actually looks like the size of a pinhole. So, very different reactions from the different materials using the same hole punch. I'm going to use the next size up and we'll be back. Okay, so here we are with our second hole. It was made with this tool, size 1.5. So it's the very next size up for the hole punch. So here with the flooring vinyl, you can see nice clean cut front and back, and you can easily see the difference in the hole sizes. This next vinyl, same thing, nice clean cut holes there, and you can see the difference between the hole sizes. I'm going to go over here to the cork, and you start to see something a little different. The backing on this is woven, and as your tools get used and you don't have a razor sharp edge, with things that are woven, sometimes you'll get a little pull through on the fabric. But no problem, it's going to be covered underneath the rivet head. Nice clean cut. You can easily see the difference on the two different hole sizes there. And there is the backing. Now let's talk about our stretchy vinyl. Do you see the difference from the first hole to the second hole? There is a huge difference. So what happened with the first hole? Well, with the first hole, the hole that pierced through was so small, and because this is so stretchy, it was able to kind of fill in and almost heal itself from that hole. The hole is there, it's hard to see, and it's going to be difficult to put the post of the rivet in through a hole that small. This one here, nicer, cleaner cut, because it was able to cut away enough of the material so that it wouldn't shrink back down into the hole so quickly. All right, we're going to move on up to the next size in the hole punch. Here's our next size. This is a 2, and you can see the end is dull, and this is my favorite size. This is the size that I most often use. So let's take a look at our materials here. So on this one, again, it's very clear on this vinyl that the size gets larger. There's a nice clean cut on there. The edges are nice and clean. On this next one, you're going to see that even though we got larger, that last hole, there's just a little fuzz in there, so you can't see it very well. But these two holes almost look like they're the same size. Here on the cork, again, because there's a woven, sometimes the backing gets a little fuzzy. But the hole is slightly larger and nice clean cut there. So here we go to our rubbery, stretchy vinyl. The hole is slightly larger. It's difficult to see a nice distinction between the size 1.5 and the size 2 on that one. Now the last one I'm going to do is a size 2.5, and I will bring it back and we'll see what happens. And here we are with our final hole. This is a size 2.5 hole punch. Sometimes I will have to go up to this size if I have a lot of layers, or if it is something that is spongy and keeps shrinking back down, I will have to go up to a larger size. So we go here, and easily to see, you see this just, it's so clean and so easy to see the holes and the different sizes on this type of material. If this is a material that you use often, you may want to go ahead and make a tester and then just mark it on the back or on the front what size hole punch you used, and then just keep that as a reference for yourself. Here is the other one. So between the 1.5 and the 2, you really couldn't see, it kind of shrunk back into itself, but once you got up to the 2.5, clearly a nice big difference in the hole size is visible there. We're going to go to the cork here, and I wanted to show you. So the punch is not as sharp as it should be, number one. Number two, because of this type of woven material on the back, it's not wanting to cut as clean. And so sometimes you get, as they say, a hanging chad. You have this little thing here. No biggie, just pull that off. It's not going to be, you don't have to, it's better to pull it off rather than to try to use the punch again, because you don't want to have it shift and then make your hole bigger than it needs to be. So not a big deal if you don't get that piece to come out completely the first time. And here we are with our stretchy vinyl. So again, you can see this hole. It's really, the vinyl is wanting to heal itself and seal up. These two are very similar in size, hard to tell the difference. And then this one is bigger, but it has shrunk back in a little bit. Let's see if I can get it here. So it's hard to see that there, but it is definitely a bigger hole. Okay. So let's talk about how this affects rivets. What we've seen is this is clearly a rubbery, stretchy type of vinyl, and the holes are really going to be affected by it. So if you look here at this hole, because it's stretchy and rubbery, you have to be very careful about making a hole too big relative to the head size of the rivet. If I were to use those little number 6s on anything besides this hole, it would be too big. I wouldn't even put it here unless it was purely decorative and there was going to be no tension on that hole. Because what's going to happen, now I'm going to see if I can show you this. What's going to happen, I'll put it over a dark background, is if this is under tension and there is a rivet there, that this can stretch. Look how it's going to stretch. It can stretch around the edge of a rivet and the rivet, and just pull off the rivet. So you need to learn what your fabric and your materials are going to do. So I would use the smallest hole possible. Now on a standard, it's going to be hard to get the rivet post through there, so I would have to use this one. And again, you need to be careful about the stretch. You can do other things on the back to prevent the stretching. I'll cover that in other videos. But the point of this video is to show you the difference in the sizes and the importance of taking a scrap of material and practicing and looking and seeing what are the different effects of the different hole punches on different materials. So there you have it, the importance of taking a few minutes of time and experimenting on your scrap materials and seeing how your tools, your materials, and your hardware are all going to work together and interact with each other in your final project. If you found value in this video, please share it with your friends who are also aspiring bag makers. Take a moment today, share the aloha one stitch at a time, and I will see you in the next video.